Good morning, dear students. Welcome to social science class. Let's continue with chapter number 1, that is the story of village Palampur. In this, we have already taken about the different factors of productions or the four requirements for productions of goods and services, that is land, labor, physical capital and the human capital. Then we have discussed the farming in Palampur under 3 points. One, that is land is fixed. Second, if land is fixed, then we have to come up with some new techniques and technologies to improve that one can grow more from the same piece of land. On coming with the green revolutions, yes, there are some positive points as well as there are some negative points, will ultimately lead to thinking us that will the land sustain. We are facing a problems like depletion of water, toxicity in the soil, loss of soil fertility. So this was some concerns which we have to take care. Next, the fourth point is how is land distributed between the farmers of Palampur. So here we will discuss about how the land is distributed in Palampur. Then we will discuss at India perspective with the help of this pie chart what is the current situation. So let's just come to the figure 1.5, Palampur village distribution of cultivated land. So here you find that, just look at the diagram and picture, you will see that some of the land have a big area as compared to the others. For example, this 1, 2, 3, 4 which I have marked, you will see that this full portion is divided into different lands, and this whole land, just mark it as 5, is equal to the area of a one land, say 2. That means the land is unevenly distributed in Palampur, and we know that on the first page we have read that Palampur have around 450 families. Now out of these 450 families, I will just brief you about the situation, then we will discuss that also with the help of the book. We will read that in the book. So what the situation says, so there are 450 families in a village, out of which you can say 1/3, around 150 families are landless, means they do not have the land for the cultivations. Around 240 families in this village have land less than 2 hectares in size, that means less than 2 hectares, and rest around 60 families have land more than 2 hectares of land, out of which very few, just you can say few of them left have land more than 10 hectares. So very few of them have the land. Majority of the, you can say, the farmers are small or landless farmers in Palampur. You will see that generally you will find medium and big farms as compared to the small farms here. So let's just take that with the help, just read this with the help of the book. So here you will find that people engaged in agriculture have sufficient, not all have a sufficient land for the cultivations in Palampur. There are around 450 families, out of which 150 families are landless, generally Dalits. So Dalits, generally we call them scheduled caste. All the people coming in scheduled caste are known as Dalits. So they have no land for cultivations. Rest 240 families have land, small plots of land which is less than 2 hectares in size. Okay, around 60 families have the medium and the large who cultivate more than 2 hectares of land, and few have more than 10 hectares of land and more. So overall what you see here is that the land is unevenly distributed in Palampurs. All the farmers are not rich, all the farmers are not have lands. If some have lands, they have just land which can take care for their own basic needs. They cannot generate surplus. For example, you just read this story here that in 1960 Gobind was a farmer with around 2.25 hectares of land which is largely unirrigated, but with their, you can say, hard work, Gobind have 3 sons and they somehow have the productions to have the basic needs kept going. But after the Gobind's death, yes, these 3 sons divided the land and now they only got 0.75 hectares in size, which is, you can say, not even able to give them a basic needs, or Govind's sons are not able to make a living from their land. So you see that the situation, you can relate this with India also. When, let's just see this pie chart, you will find here the first pie chart is dedicated to cultivated area and the second is the number of farmers. This was by the Department of Agriculture's 2015 data, so it is very authentic data. You will see in this that this green, dark green color means farmers which are marginal in size, marginal farmers or small farmers. This light green is called as the medium or the large farmers. Now, farmers who have less than 2 hectares of land, if a farmers have less than 2 hectares of land, then that farmers come under as the marginal or and small farmers. If a farmer have a land more than 2 hectares, then he will come under medium and large farmers. Okay, so let's just read the graph. What does this graph shows for India? So here you can see that there are 15% of farmers in India which you can call as the marginal and the small farmers. So out of total, there are 15% of Indian farmers come under the marginal and small farmers, means they have land less than 2 hectares. But they are cultivating around 55.40% of total cultivated land in India. फिर से इंडिया में अराउंड 15% फार्मर्स ऐसे हैं जिनके पास 2 हेक्टेयर से कम लैंड है, बट ये 15% फार्मर्स, जिन्हें हम मार्जिनल और स्मॉल फार्मर्स भी कहते हैं, दे कल्टीवेट एरिया of India around 55.4%. Okay. On the other hand, if we are talking about the medium and large farmers, there are 85% of farmers in India which come under the category of medium and large farmers, means they have land more than 2 hectares, but they cultivate the out of the total cultivated area 44.60%. I hope it is clear to you. फिर से एक बार 85% फार्मर्स इंडिया में मीडियम एंड लार्ज फार्मर्स के अंडर आ जाते हैं. दैट मीन्स दे हैव लैंड मोर देन 2 हेक्टेयर्स. और टोटल कल्टिवेटेड एरिया में से 44.6% एरिया ये मीडियम और लार्ज फार्मर्स कल्टीवेट करते हैं. सो दिस इज एन ऑल्सो एन अलार्मिंग सिचुएशंस. मीन्स स्टिल नाउ द मेजर ऑफ द लैंड is cultivated by the marginal and small farmers, and the situations of marginals and small farmers are not good as compared to the medium and large farmers, because they have to depend on others for the agriculture in that land. We will see that with the help of an examples. So let's just come back. So this was about the how the land is distributed in the between the farmers of Palampur. Now you will see that this is actually, I have downloaded the PDF from the NCERT websites, which is showing you can say the data of 2003. This is a old data. We have to follow our book, the data which is mentioned in our book, that is 2050. Okay, next topic here. So you will see that many activities like let's discuss are mentioned in the after every point, and I have somehow already answered that in my lecture. But if still you have any doubt, you will just go through this. It's very easy, you will find the answer. But still, if you have any doubt, we will try to make a complete video, or we will take this online on Monday, so that all the let's discuss and all the activities can be discussed on that days. Okay, next topic is who will provide the labors. Now we know that here you will see big lands, small lands. For big lands, the farmers need some laborers which are called as farm laborers. Small farmers, generally small farmers, if we are talking about the farmers working in this fields here, they what they do, that the small farmers along with their families, they cultivate their own land. So they don't go with, or they do not you can say have farm laborers working for them, because they have already financial constraints and they are using the families and all others to work in the fields. But still, small farmers could not make enough by just working in their own fields, so they also do labor if required by the large farmers in the village. So there are 2 kinds of laborers in Palampur. That one which have small land, but they have to go to the others big farms for their basic needs to earn their livelihood. But there are some farm laborers, yes, come from either from landless families or family cultivating the small kinds of plots. So farm laborers basically are 2 types, one which have zero land, other which have very small plots of lands. Now these laborers, they do not have the, you can say, the right over the crop grown in the land, because they are just working as a laborers in that fields. So labor is very much important, and it also provide employment to the small plot farmers and to the landless farmers. They get wages in working in these fields in the form of cash or kind, means crop. You can relate this with your Sirsa culture also, agriculture also. You will find that some laborers, they want a set of, suppose 100 kg of wheat at the end of the harvesting seasons, and they will work for you in your fields. Some want that they should given some wages on regular basis, on monthly basis, or depending upon the, you can say, the collaboration done by the big farmers to the laborers. Now this wages can depends from regions to regions, crop to crop, from farm activities to another, means from sowing to harvestings, and to the durations of the employments. Means you will find some laborers that come to your field, work for 2 days, 3 days, and they go back. But some laborers, they work for a seasons and they go back. Some work for, you can say, an year, and they are already attached with that small big farmers, and they are working for them on, you can say, from last 10 years. So that also depends upon the wages. And here is a story about the Dala and the Dal and the Ramkali. So they are discussing with each other. Both have the problem. They are the, you can say, the land farm laborers which work at the government have also fixed the, you can say, the wages for the farm laborers, which is around 300 rupees per day. But here it is written 60, it's incorrect. So the farm laborers like Dal and Ramkali, the wages for a farm laborers set by the government is around 300 rupees per day. This is according to the March 2017. But it's also depend upon state basis, state to state basis. If we are talking about Haryana, the laborers wages per day depends from the unskilled laborers to the skilled laborers. And in Haryana, per day wage for a farm laborer is around 347 rupees, which if that is a skilled laborer can goes up to 442 rupees per day, which is a pretty decent when it comes to the laboring. But what is going on with the Nal is that he is only getting 160 rupees. So the laborer, he is only getting 160 rupees. The Dala, this guy only getting the 160 rupees. Why he is just getting the 160 rupees? Because of the heavy competition for the work among the farm laborers in Palampur. So people even agree to work on lower wages in Palampur because of the heavy competition for work. As there is, you will see that we have already seen that 1/3 of the families are landless in Palampur that ultimately attracts more competition for working in the big fields. So this was about the point number 5, that is who will provide the labor. Next point is you can read this the picture and you will get this answer. Now when we are discussing about the migration, you will see that the people from Bihar and UP generally moves to Punjab and Haryana, and this migration take place and it is a very common. What is the reason behind that? Employment opportunity provided by the Punjab and Haryana. So employment opportunities in the fields of Haryana is one of the reasons, and one of the reasons which pushes the Bihar and UP people to more developed areas like Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Mumbai, Surat, Hyderabad to work there, either in fields or in some factories. Okay, so work and employment is the main reason. Sixth, the capital needed in farming. So when we are discussing about capital Hindi mein it simply means punji, money. We need money to do the production in the fields. We need seeds, we need fertilizers, we need pesticides, we need tractors, fixed capitals, everything. For that we need capital. Now small farmers generally they borrow and arrange the capitals from the large farmers or the money lenders in that village. Okay, so small farmers generally borrow from the large farmers or the money lenders. So money lenders basically are the communities which give loan to the small farmers by charging some rate of interest which is comparatively very higher for the small farmers. So you will see that the rate of interest charged by these loans is very high, and that ultimately put this distress to repay the loan. Savita, this is an example of Savita, one of the small farmers which cultivated the wheat. So she needs she does not have the money, so she had to borrow that from the Tejpal, a large farmers who will give him money with a very high rate of interest, that is 24% for 4 months, which is a very high rate of interest. And at the same time she will also work during the harvest seasons for Tejpal. So this is the situation for the small farmers, and they just depends upon the others for the capitals. On the other hand, the medium and the small farmers have their own saving from the farmings, and thus they are able to arrange the capital they needed. Okay, so how does this farmers have their own saving? We have to see that with the help of point number 7, that is the sale of surplus farm products. So we have left here the story so far with the fill in the blanks. You will find here the fill in the blanks. Just try to do this. We will discuss this in the next lecture. Okay, so last point here which I want to discuss is the sale of surplus farm products. So we know that small farmers are not able, like Savita and Govind, they are not able to put the farming, so they just do the farmings and the production is just for their own livelihood. They have no surplus, but mediums and the small farmers, they have the surplus, so they kept for their consumption, plus the rest they sell that in the village. Like the Tejpal Singh, the large farmers have the surplus of 350 quintals of wheat from his land, and he will sell the surplus wheat at the Raiganj market and has a good earning. So all the surplus, you can easily relate this with our, I think many of you are from the agriculture backgrounds. We store some wheat in a container for the consumption for a full year, and rest we loaded that in the trolleys and the tractors, and we come to the mandi of Sirsa and we sell that to the artis, and they ultimately sell to the government or the food corporation of India. So arti will give us the money, and that good earnings are the surplus, are the sale earnings which get from the surplus sale of the farm products. Now this earning, Tejpal keep this money in his bank accounts, or he can give that money to the farmers like Savita and charge a rate of interest, and he can also in use this as the working capital for the next seasons, or he can even buy another tractor. So you see that the saving done by the Tejpal can be used in a different ways, like he can keep that money in the bank account, he can give that money on loan with a high rate of interest to Savita and others small farmers. He can give that, he can use that for buying fertilizers, seeds, working capitals for the next season, or even he can invest that in fixed capitals like buying a new tractors which can increase the productions to the next level. So like Tejpal's other large farmers also do some other things like buying the capitals for the next seasons. They also have the savings. Farmers can might also use saving to buy cattle, trucks and set up shops. So this all constitutes the capitals, or even they can use that capitals in the non-farming activities, which is the next topic. I hope it is clear to you. We have taken the 3 points. How is land distributed between the farmers of the Palampur, who will provide the labors and the capital needed in farming and the sale of surplus farms products. Very easy, बहुत simple था. So I have just speed up. If अभी भी अगर आपको, if you still have any doubt, so you can message me. Thank you so much.